Now we are definitely live. You'd think I'd have it better figured out by now, but hello everyone and welcome to the Breakdown After Dark. I'm your host Casey Smith, joined as always by my two co-hosts Aidan Dobell and Keenan Vaughn. And we're what? Is this episode 5 or 6 on YouTube at this point? And I
I
still
think
don't
episode
really.
6. I
Yeah.
think
And
episode
it still
6.
takes me like
Oh, there we go.
20 minutes to set the stream up and, and get us on air. But fellas, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing quite well.
Keenan?
I've been better, to be honest with you.
Oh, what's seems to be the issue? Oh, that's in our personal.
We are going
lives,
to get
in our-
into
in our personal
exactly
lives.
why.
How are you doing outside of watching sports though? How's your coverage team?
That's been fine. I've been enjoying my coverage both as a reporter and as a coverage team director, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Aiden and I were talking about Aiden and I were talking about Randy Orton earlier and just how cool he was, man. Like I don't know if you had a similar experience, Keenan, but as a kid I always was like I would just RKO my friends randomly. I don't know, like that was just such a core memory. Like if you're by a pool, man, like you're kind of
Oh,
just
you're
Look-
kind of asking for it at that
yeah,
point.
yeah, head on a swivel. Like let's be ready to go. Who who would you guys say were your outside of Randy Orton were your favorite WWE superstars? I don't know how into it you guys got.
My dad. I don't know if you guys saw the movie The Iron Claw, but my
I did.
dad is a huge. He grew up watching the Von Erichs. So what we would do is we would practice the Iron Claw on each other when we would wrestle in the living room for fun.
That movie was one of the best, but also one of the saddest movies I've probably ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
No, and wrestling wrestling with like your dad when you're young, or like I do with my nephew now. Like he still like every time I come out like every 6 months to a year. So he does get bigger and stronger and whatnot, but every single time he thinks he's like, oh, for real this time, he kind of forgets. Like he thinks he's genuinely going to beat me. And then we'll like wrestle or race or whatever, and he gets all disappointed. But, I feel like it's like his dad or his mom will like let him win at stuff. But like I feel like I have to beat him. Like I have to keep him humble. So I always get him, because we do like taps and, you got to go easy to an
Yeah.
extent. But like I'm never letting him submit me, man. I'm
No.
not tapping. I'd
No.
rather get
I'd
choked
ra-
out.
Yeah, you'd rather go to sleep.
I'd rather get choked out than tap from my 9-year-old nephew at this point, or 8. He's pretty young. I don't know. My favorite. I mean, I don't know. Is this a cop out? But like John Cena was just like, okay. I'd say the big two that I always loved were John Cena because he was just like every kid's favorite. He was iconic. And then Rey Mysterio was just like because he was from
Yeah.
San Diego. So that was kind of cool. And no, I went to a WWE event when I was like 12. I was like really into it for maybe like a year or two, and then I don't know, it just got too much to watch. Like they had like a 3-hour show like twice a week, and I was like, I don't want to sink 6 hours into this.
Yeah. Um, John Cena was always good, but I would say my favorite was probably Undertaker. I was always a big Undertaker guy.
Didn't we watch on YouTube like semi recently? Because Aiden and I will just be in the living room, and typically we'll just slap on whatever's on League Pass or ESPN
The
Plus or
ESPN
whatever.
Plus.
But sometimes there's just nothing because it's like 2 o'clock on a Thursday. Like not even like, dude, when ESPN Plus has like lacrosse or like cornhole or whatever, or not that those sports are on the exact same tier, but something that I otherwise wouldn't watch probably. When it has that, like when it doesn't even have that, we'll just go on YouTube. And I think one time we watched like, what was it, WWE like
We watched like Attitude
what was
Era, like WWE.
and it was all like
And
the
it was like a
Undertaker.
40-minute compilation.
What who Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yep.
It's just my favorite WWE moment, and then we'll get into the real sports soon. Was when Vince McMahon, evil guy by the way, ran into the arena to like do a fight or whatever, and I think he tore both his hamstrings at the same time and was just lying on the floor just like, oh, like he did not know what to do. I think that's my favorite WWE moment of all time, like from the clips. Obviously didn't see that live. I think that was far before I was born.
Um, Another clip that I love is there's a storyline where I think Big Show's like
Oh, Big Show.
his dad like
Oh.
died or something, so they had like a funeral, and one of the other wrestlers came in with a semi truck and like stole the coffin.
Well, I was always a big fan of the cage matches.
Oh yeah.
That and Royal Rumble. Like
Hmm.
me and my friend would like do a Royal Rumble and see how long we could last on the WWE 2K games. That was a lot of fun. And they've got like good customization with like what you can make some like people that like don't you can like give people like purple skin and stuff.
Oh yeah. You can make
It's
some aliens.
it's a lot of fun. But you know, a lot of respect to WWE. I mean, you know, it's I kind of look at it as like stunt gigs or whatever, where it's like it's not real, but it's still impressive. Like they're still jumping off ladders and stuff, so that's kind of cool.
The
Um,
best the best way I look at it is like it is real, but it's scripted. So
yeah,
like they're
it's
all
like a play.
they're putting themselves in positions where like for the most part they're not gonna get like injured or hurt, and the results are all predetermined based on whichever guy is more
Yeah,
popular
but
or
you
the
can still get
storyline.
hurt. I
But
mean,
yeah,
for
no,
sure. Like,
absolutely. Like you're still doing like real moves and real stunts, so
yeah,
it
you're
is
just
still
not gonna
very
get like
impressive.
knocked out
Yeah,
by
exactly.
someone else. Except last note, like Brock Lesnar doing WWE and UFC is really cool. Like I always thought that was sick.
Mhm.
All right, but let's get into the bulk of the episode. Gonna be talking about some men's college basketball, some hoops. We'll get into our players of the week. Um, we'll talk some NBA. We're post All Star break now, so we're really in the last fourth or so of the season. We'll talk some Olympics as they've just about wrapped up, and we'll finish off with some MMA. But starting off with men's college basketball, another week. I mean, just as we get closer and closer to March, it feels like men's college basketball is where the national sports world really turns, and just every week means more and more because you have less opportunities to make up for stuff. But let's start off at the beginning of the weekend with the thumbnail of this video: ASU beating Texas Tech 72-67. They were 8.5 point dogs in this one, which honestly surprised me. I thought it would have been worse. Knocking off the number 13 team in the nation, and I was there. I was psyched to be there. It was definitely the coolest sport that I have ever watched, or it's the coolest event that I have ever like been there in person for covering. I mean, you look at the ASU BYU game, that was sick to storm the field, and ASU Texas Tech football to storm the field, and a couple of different Clippers games and Aztec games. But like the fact that everyone's running onto the court and I got this camera and I'm trying to hold it up high and just capture everything, and being in the presser afterwards was so sick. But in terms of like the on court stuff, unfortunate that JT Toppin goes down. He was killing the game. They really truly had no answer for him. We previewed it on last episode. We knew that he was going to be a problem because ASU's defense is not very good. But torn ACL out for the season is rough. What are our takeaways on this one?
Yeah, Aiden and I were talking before the game about like how many points JT Toppin would have, just because ASU is one of the worst teams in the country when it comes to guarding having defense in the paint. But this is just a really devastating loss for Texas Tech, not only because of the obvious loss of JT Toppin, who that's not a guy you can replace easily. This is just a really bad loss for a team that beat number one Arizona a few games before. This Texas Tech team is another example, and there's so many teams that you could say this for this season. When they are on, they can beat anyone in the country. When they are off, they just don't look like they are a top four seed. I think this game proved it. It just wasn't there tonight. I would argue the team was really struggling before JT Toppin got hurt. Maybe
Oh
they
yeah,
still win with him in the lineup, but it wasn't smooth sailing. It wasn't just like a flip of a switch. It was a battle all game long.
Yeah, I think they were down like 6 points or 8 points, something like that when he did go down. Obviously, it's probably much more of a concern going ahead in the season. He was easily their best player and like a big bulk of why Texas Tech has been so good this year. Um, you do still have Christian Anderson, who's awesome, but I don't know that he can really. I don't know that he's going to be able to make up for just the loss in scoring that JT Toppin provided you.
Uh,
And then obviously the it's a really bad loss for the resume. Arizona State is not a very good squad.
Real quick, Page A 9482 asks, "What about the WNBA?" Chanel is asking. W starts up May 8th, I
Yeah,
believe, early May. So they're not in season right now, but I mean, yeah, they'll
right now
call,
they have like
especially
the unrivaled stuff.
yeah, but the regular season won't start up until May, where we'll get on that. And I mean, yeah, I mean, especially in the summer, like that'll be like B block, honestly, right? I mean, you get
Hmm.
like because we haven't done the show over the summer yet, but now that we have, YouTube, we'll be able to do it. Well, it'll be like MLB, WNBA, maybe some like preseason football stuff or like training camp stuff. But like once the NBA is done, it really like the sports world kind of thins out in terms of what's going on. So it'll just pretty much be women's hoops and baseball and then like off season stuff. But yeah, it's definitely most concerning about Texas Tech long term. Like they were a team that I really liked, but now I have to fade them because their best players down. It's kind of as simple as that. Um, and then for ASU, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. Bobby Hurley's still going to be gone at the end of the year, unless they make some sort of magical run in the Big 12 tournament, which seems really unlikely. They're not going to go all the way. They just hinge so much on Mo Odom. Like he has such an incredibly high usage rate that they can pull off games like this if he has a really good game, which he did. But when he stinks, they don't have the supporting cast or any other real creation to do it. On Tuesday, we also got GCU beating San Diego State 76-63 in Viejas. Waxed them. Some Mountain West hoops here, and GCU pulls off the double on San Diego State. I was kind of paying attention to this one while ASU was going on, but I was mainly, trying to cover ASU. Keenan and Aidan, I believe you guys watched this a lot more. You're pretty locked in?
Yeah.
It was so disappointing. I mean, we watched a majority of the game, and it was just the same problems that we've talked about with SDSU these last few weeks. The offense is just so underwhelming. It's felt worse than the game that we went to in person when they last played GCU, because at least that one was a close contest. This one just felt like GCU had a step ahead of the Aztecs the entire time. And I just wonder what it's going to take for SDSU to play up to their potential. Maybe I don't want to spoil all the talking points before we get to the other game that they played last week, but the talent is absolutely there for the Aztecs. This isn't a team that got gutted and is now trying to find a new identity. This is a team that retained a lot of talent, and I don't know what it is. Why is this team not efficient on offense? Why are they making so many bad decisions when it comes to shot making? What is going on?
Yeah, that's the thing is that they were one of the top teams in talent retention or minutes retention from last year. Like they brought back Miles Bird, they brought back Magoon Guat, they brought back Taj DeGorville, they brought back Pharaoh Compton, and then they brought in some promising freshmen in LZ Harrington. They brought back BJ Davis, and then they brought back Reese Waters, who was hurt last year. The only real guy they lost, they even brought back Miles Heide. The only real guy they lost was Nick Boyd, who's obviously killing it at Wisconsin. But you still figure this team was going to be really solid. I mean, they were in the top 25 in the preseason. I think the thing is that you have a lot of really solid guys, but no one took the leap to be the first guy or even really the second guy that the team needs. It's a bunch of like third options. Bird hasn't really progressed since his sophomore year. Davis is still spotty. Waters is still spotty, which, he's coming off injury. And Magoon Guath is still getting hurt. So I love Brian Dutcher, but there's always been questions about his offensive scheme, and I think it really has shown up this season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the box score here for that GCU game, and SDSU shot 35% from the field. Like
I mean,
Reese Dixon Waters and BJ Davis combined 4 for 19. Like you just can't have your two other best scorers outside of Miles Bird shooting that poorly. Like you just need more. You need
yeah.
more. Like Miles Bird in his own right has been incredibly inconsistent. So when you finally do get a game like that where he's pretty efficient, and then the other two, main guys you're looking at to score are just pretty awful. I mean, 32 minutes and you go 2 for 10 is just it's really rough. I don't really know what the fix is. I think SDSU teams are just kind of always going to be not great offensively, but the defense has also not been to the level that I think people are used to seeing for San Diego State teams.
I think
I
it's
think
been
what makes the loss
yeah.
even worse, I just wanted to say, like, I think what makes the loss even worse now is that GCU went on to lose to Wyoming on Saturday.
Yeah.
Wyoming's not very good. That's just not to be swept by a team. And I think GCU is solid, but they're not anything great.
The GCU is terrible offensively. They're one of like the worst 3-point shooting teams in the nation. I think they're nearly sub 30. It's disgusting. I mean, one of the only offenses worse than San Diego State that I watch regularly is GCU. Like, it's ugly. But they did the double on them, and we'll talk more about conference implications for the Mountain West once we get later on in the week and cover some more of these games. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a good look. Let's move on to our last Tuesday game, though, and some more mid-major madness as Rhode Island beats St. Louis 81-76. It's the Bilkins' second loss of the year, first conference loss after I really hyped him up, I think just last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago.
This one hurt. I love upsets, and there's been a lot this season, which I appreciate, but this one stung. I love the St. Louis team. I love seeing mid-majors really move their way up into the top 25, and this one's just baffling. This Rhode Island is 15-11 after this weekend, 15-12 actually. So they went on to lose to LaSalle by double digits. This is just a really hard loss for St. Louis to take, even though they rebounded with a great win against VCU later on in the week. That's a tough loss to have on your resume. When you're a mid-major, you cannot afford mistakes like that.
Yeah, they're still ranked. St. Louis is. But yeah, I agree. Like, I'm cheering for upsets, but not for mid majors because the top mid major dogs are already upsets. Like, I want to see them get as ranked as high as possible. Like, I don't care that Miami, Ohio is, technically like the big dog in their conference and whatever. And I'm sure every team is like looking at them like, oh, they're our, Duke or whatever. Like, no, I still want them to win because I want them to be like that. That's more entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Keenan made a good point. Like when you are a mid-major squad like St. Louis, you really can't afford too many losses. Like I know this was only their second loss, and they did rebound with a good win, but like how many losses can St. Louis really afford before it starts to be a real debate whether or not that like where they end up getting seated and whether or not that they make the tournament. I think it's probably more of a debate for Miami, Ohio, just because the MAC is a much worse conference than the A10. But losing a game like this to Rhode Island is really tough. So it is good to see that they were able to bounce back and get a big win. But I think you kind of figured they would slip up at some point, but you really can't afford too many losses at all.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the top 25. I think they can maybe afford. I'd have to look at their schedule. It kind of depends. But in terms of like still getting an at-large bid, I think they have 1 or 2 more still in them. But in terms of, sticking around that 5 or 6 seed that they were kind of projected at, they can't lose anymore. And they already might be out of contention out of like a 5 seed. 7 or so seems more likely at this point, depending on how they do in the conference tournament. But as we move on to Wednesday, we got one that, could not be decided in regulation, went to double overtime. I believe was it overtime or double overtime? Alabama beats Arkansas. Double overtime.
Double OT.
Alabama beats Arkansas 117-115. We were all together for the end of this game, but Keenan, you really got to see the breadth of it. What were your takeaways?
Man, Calipari defenses are just bad. Really, really bad. I mean, this was just it really lived up to Nate Oates and John Calipari's vision for their teams. Let's score a bunch of points and let's not play any defense. This was just a really tough one for the Hogs. I mean, going into Tuscaloosa and getting a win is a tough ask, but they had a double-digit lead at one point during this game, and they just couldn't hang on. Darius Acuff dropped 49 points. To waste a performance like that is just unacceptable. And my problem with this team is that for as talented as this team is offensively, again, they're bad on defense, but also I'm just really underwhelmed by their bigs. I'm not seeing a lot of rebounding, a lot of second chance buckets. It really feels like if Darius Acuff and company is not putting the ball in the basket on their first shot, then they're giving it right back to the other team.
How do we think about Acuff, like, prospect wise? Like, how does he size up, especially to these other guards like Flemings and Peterson and Michael Brown? What do you think? Because you watch, like, give me a comparison of Acuff and Flemings, because you watch a lot of them. Keenan watching a lot of Arkansas and Houston.
Oh man, it's tough. I think Aidan would probably be better at giving an NBA comp. For Acuff, I'd have to look at size. So he's 6'3", 190. Acuff,
just not necessarily comp, but like how he projects out. Like, how confident are you that his game will translate to the NBA level?
I mean, I feel like he has the Kentucky pedigree going, or not the Kentucky, the Calipari pedigree going in his favor there. I think that definitely helps. I just don't know how much teams are going to demerit him for his defensive inefficiencies and just more of bake on him being a top flight scorer. I think Kingston's a little bit better on the defensive end, but I think Acuff has the higher ceiling when it comes to offense and shooting.
I think I said like a couple days ago that I might go as far as to say Darius Acuff might be my favorite prospect in this entire NBA draft, and that's not a discredit. And I think that's not a discredit to anyone else in this class and everybody. I think people all know that, you know, Darren Peterson and Cam Boozer and DeBanza are all really good, but Darius Acuff is right up there with those guys. Like, he is really, really good. I think he does project very well to the NBA because, like, he's 6'3", 190, but he plays so much bigger. Like, he's good at, like, manipulating the defense. He's good at, like, he's good at using his size and using his body to get into the defense, and then also he is an elite three-point shooter. I think he shoots 44% from three at the college level on almost 6 attempts a game is really, really good. So I'm not worried at all about how he'll potentially project to the NBA. And then obviously, like Keenan mentioned, anytime you have that Calipari pedigree, I think that just it's kind of like drafting an Ohio State wide receiver. Like, you just draft him because you're like, every other Ohio State receiver is really good. Every other Calipari guard is really good. So I think Darius Acuff is going to be a great player.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just always worry about these small guards and how they're going to translate, because it's a tough world out there. I mean, when you're sizing up against some really big initiators, if you want to be, you know, a top 10, top 5 pick, and be impactful in the NBA, you know, you're having to go on par with the Shays and the Lucas of the world and these guys who are bigger dudes. So if you're going to be a small guard and you're not going to be a positive on defense, you better be really, really good as an offensive initiator. Well, if we don't have anything else on Alabama, Arkansas, we move on to Saturday. UCLA beats Illinois 95-94, and I mean, a really, really, really solid game from a really solid game from Donovan Dent here. Former New Mexico, why am I forgetting their name? New Mexico Lobo, and drops an Illinois team that was In the top 5 when they beat them, top 6. Where were they ranked at when they beat them?
Um, I think they. I don't know.
They were at
They were
10. I'm not
at 10.
sure.
I think they're
Oh,
still.
Illinois was at 10 when
Not,
they
yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, UCLA beats them. This is a solid bubble UCLA team. But yeah, Dent goes for 14 and 15, even though he was pretty inefficient. 15 assists is nuts. He's an incredible passer. Um, and yeah, I think UCLA as a bubble team will and should get in.
This team is just so confusing. After the Michigan State loss, I was ready to write off this UCLA team completely. They got not only got did they get blown out, but Aiden and I have shared our disdain for Mick Cronin's coaching style.
Yeah.
He is a big whiner when it comes to press conferences. Threw his own player out of a game, which I've never seen that before. But also, I just thought that his coaching style was just outdated. He was just one of those coaches where he was successful back in the late 2010s, but he just was not replicating in this current era. But this is a huge bounce back win for the Bruins. I think if you ask most Bruins fans, they tell you that Donovan Dent has been kind of a disappointment this season, especially with how hyped up the news of his transfer to UCLA was. Keep in mind, this was a team that was number 12 in the preseason poll. And this is huge for the Bruins, considering they also have a win against Purdue under the belt. They've got quality wins, so we know what they're capable of. They just need to be more consistent.
Yeah, I know Dent was a top end transfer. I mean, what is he? I haven't been super tapped in on like him in UCLA, just because the Big Ten is so like muddied that these middle end teams are kind of hard to focus on. But like, yeah, 13 and 7 on. Wow, so he's shooting 17% from three. That's jarring. I mean, he's never been
It's
a big volume guy, but
yeah.
last year he averaged 20 and 6 on 40% from three on 2 attempts a game. I'm really stunned that the 3-point shot has left him that bad. Because yeah, even the year before that, 37, 50, or sorry, 20, but like he's never been a volume guy, but he's always been like solid. I mean, that's really crazy that his 3-point shooting has left him that bad. Um, those Big Ten defenses are just more physical, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had talked a little bit about like, buy sell for some college basketball teams, and I said I was all in on this Illinois team. I still do like this team, but it is a little tricky when they have these periods where their defense is really rough, and like the 3-point shooting can be really tough for this squad. Like in this game, they shot 42 threes. They only made 13 of them. I think I'd be curious to try to see sort of what they're shooting from three on the year, which looks like 35%, which is decent but not great. I still do really like this team, but um, Keaton Wagler, while he does have games where he absolutely explodes and he's unstoppable, he also has games where you're reminded that he is a true freshman and he can be pretty inefficient. So I would love to see a guy like Andrei Stojakovic be more of a consistent scorer for Illinois. I think that would help them a lot. I was really excited about him when he transferred to Illinois, and he's been okay this year, but certainly not great. I think if he can really step up and be that secondary scorer alongside Wagler, it's going to help Illinois make a deep run in the tournament.
You know how certain guys just make everything look easy? Like it'll be a tough bucket and it just looks so effortless and flawless. Keenan Wagler is kind of the opposite of that. Everything with him looks really difficult. I mean, he scores at a really high level. Don't get me wrong, but like he is a tough shot maker, but he's a tough shot taker. And I think that is always going to be kind of difficult to live off of. He's not very fast. He's not very good at separating. He doesn't need a whole lot of separation. And I don't think it'll affect him that much at the college level. Like he's still been able to work through it, obviously, more than work through it. But I think at the NBA level, it is going to catch up a little bit. I'd be a little bit worried about him as a prospect just because I feel like generally with these tough shot takers, it's a little bit shaky on whether they translate super well or not because the NBA defense just gets even higher. And you really got to be a next level athlete. I mean, you could project out to maybe like Luka, but he's not that level of that would be like the ceiling of like what, this is what Luka is like the peak of a really good tough shot maker, like working out really well. But with Luka, it's obviously very different because it's Luka and he has the extraterrestrial playmaking and whatnot. So yeah, that's my thing with Lagler, but I think at the college level, it won't hurt him so much as it will at the NBA level. On Saturday as well, though, I mean, overall, great day of hoops, but we, of course, got the top four teams facing off. Duke, Michigan, 68-53. This one was not as close as I really thought it was. Or, sorry, 68-63, not 53. I thought I wrote that down wrong in the rundown. But still, I thought Michigan was going to come out on top. They were the number one team in the nation. Not that Duke was far off, but I really thought they had like separated just a little bit in terms of how big they were. I wasn't sure if Duke was gonna be able to handle that, but Boozer, just a real pro's pro, came out and had another amazing game.
I think thing I was looking for in this game to determine if Duke could keep up with a team like Michigan and potentially win the title this year is we know how good Boozer can be, but I wanted to see how the supporting cast around him would help out, and they did. I mean, he had three other guys on the team get double digits. The defense really stepped up in this game. I don't know how much of that was Elliot Cadeau had a really, really bad game. He went 1 for 8, 1 for 6 from 3. It was just an off night for Michigan from a shooting perspective. But this Duke team showed it can flat out play. When this offense can get depth scoring like this, and the defense can step up, there's a reason why they're the number one team right now. And I was really pulling for Duke in this one. I kind of wanted to see Michigan. I just wanted to see Michigan get knocked down just a peg to make it a little bit more even. If Michigan had won, then we'd have like a clear number one. Can anyone beat Michigan? Greatest team of all time. Talks like that. This makes the playing field a little bit more even.
I think the top five. I'd venture to say top six are like solid. Like there's a tier that's Duke, U of A, Michigan. I think it's top 3, and then there's a tier break because you have to peg Houston down. I don't think Iowa State is quite in there, and then UConn as well. Yeah, I think it's the top 3 teams: Michigan, Arizona, and Duke that have kind of separated themselves at this point. That's where I would draw the line of like the tier 1. Like obvious. Yeah, you don't really have to hesitate if you're going to say that they are a contender at this point. Is that all we have for Duke, Michigan, though? Do we want to go on to Arizona, Houston, or do you have something, Aidan?
Only thing that I would say is, and it is a good point, where I heard a take that says, a lot of the teams that perform very well in like later in the year in the NCAA tournament are these teams with really good guard play, and I think that that's something that can really hold Michigan back later in the year. Like obviously their size is incredible with Lendeborg, Merez Johnson, and Adai Mara, but when you have Elliot Cadeau and Amari Burnett, your two starting guards combine 1 for 11, it's really tough to just compete like with some of these other really top schools like a Duke or like an Arizona. I think Michigan is still going to be able to win a lot of games just based off the size and just dominating teams inside. But when the margin of error gets a lot tighter in the tournament and the guards need to step up, I think that's where you can see Michigan potentially slip up.
Well, we'll go on to Arizona-Houston, the other top 4 matchup, and it's going to be a rough show for Houston. But Arizona comes out on top 73-66 at Houston. Flemings has a solid but a little inefficient game. It was just kind of overall a rough look for the Cougs. Sharp was inefficient. Snack was inefficient. Just overall, it seems like this offense, the offense is always going to be the worst thing for Houston because their defense is so good. But it feels like it's moved into a little bit of a different tier from, hey, our defense is our strength, our offense isn't as good, to, wow, our offense is like really actively holding us back right now. And this is without Koa Pete, too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This past week for Houston basketball it's been crushing to watch. I've kind of given up on like any expectation of even competing for a national championship at this point. I get it. You just played three of the best teams in the country. Elite teams beat elite teams, and I don't think Houston is that this year. This offense is just pathetic to watch as a fan. I There's something I want to mention, but we'll mention that with the Kansas game. I think this game just really proved that this Houston offense doesn't function like an elite team. They don't know how to penetrate into the paint. They don't know what they're doing. They always wait until the last few seconds of the shot clock, and then they put up either a terrible fadeaway or just a three-pointer that goes off the rim. It's not a great setup. You have games where Sanak, again, not living up to his potential. Sharp, when he's hot, he's hot. When he's inefficient, he just keeps shooting it and it won't go in. It just kind of feels like a team that is banking everything on Kingston Fleming's being perfect and putting the team on his back. The big difference from last year, the depth is just not there. The bench is not there, and that's really going to hurt them come tournament time. Like Harwell, this is a young team, so development is definitely needed, and hopefully it'll get there. But I'm just not seeing it this year. This week has just crushed my hopes.
I think the biggest issue that I see with Houston is like they just don't really have a secondary scorer. I think they really want that to be Emmanuel Sharp, but like you said, he just has times where he's not hitting and he just keeps shooting and tries to like shoot himself out of these ruts and out of these slumps. And it really hurts. It hurts Houston, and it makes it so that like in this Arizona game, they had a streak in the second half where they went like 10 minutes without making a shot. It's really tough when you go cold like that and you don't really have a secondary scorer outside of Kingston Fleming's.
I think those type of runs for Houston where they don't go a really long time with scoring a bucket is what's most brutal. I saw a chart recently, I believe it was by Ryan Hammer, that was really, really solid. Just looking at the volatility of teams, it puts it on an axis of, hey, this is the amount of runs you give up versus the amount of runs that you have. And obviously you want to, get a lot of runs and not give up a lot. And Houston doesn't give up a lot of runs, but they don't go on a lot of runs either, which kind of puts them in this, like, it kind of puts them in this, I'm trying to find the word for it, but locked in position where like they can't it's hard to make up ground because they're going to go cold and they don't really have that offensive like super big spark. So if they're going to beat a team, it has to be over the margins of a course of a game. They can't make it all back in a couple minutes, which makes it tough when you're playing against a team that's really hard to hold down for a really long time. It's almost like, maybe this isn't a perfect comparison, but like in an MMA fight where you have to like hold control for a really long time, that, if you're really good at, if you have good defense, if you have good grappling, you can do that, but it's a hard way to live versus a team that's just going for a knockout like right away and it's just throwing haymakers. It might be a little more safe, but I don't know if it's always going to work. Our last little bit of Big 12 action on this Saturday was Cincinnati and Kansas. And Cincinnati's been hot recently. They go out and beat Kansas 84-68 at Allen Fieldhouse. If I can just take a quick second here to pull up their recent couple games, they're on a 4-game win streak. They lose to West Virginia, terrible bad loss, and then they beat UCF by 20. They beat Kansas State by 30. They beat Utah by 4, and they beat Kansas. I don't know if it has much implications. I think they've already dug themselves in too much. But this was a Kansas team, or a Cincinnati team, I apologize. It was supposed to be pretty good before the year started, and I think we're seeing a little bit of why at this point, even if they're never going to bring it all together in any sort of postseason success.
This was the offense that Cincinnati has been desperately looking for during the Wes Miller era. Like, the defense is fantastic. It's just always been the shooting that's been holding the Bearcats back. And I mean, you see the potential here. I mean, this was not just a win over Kansas. This was a dominant win over the Jayhawks in their own home. That doesn't come very often. So I do agree with you, Casey. I'm not going to overreact and, put Cincinnati in the bubble now and think that they're a team that can make a run. They've still got Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, BYU, TCU still on the schedule. Those are 4 tough games to end the season. We'll see. We'll evaluate them after that stretch. But we see the potential now. This Kansas team just drives me crazy. I don't know what to make of them. They beat Arizona. They get destroyed by Iowa State. They dominate Oklahoma State. They get embarrassed at home by Cincinnati. There's just no consistency these past few weeks. And obviously the result today shows that, again, this is a team that could absolutely be hoisting the national championship by the end of the season. But good God, what in the world happened? Aidan, you're a fan, so I'll let you share a little bit more perspective of what went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like, this Kansas squad just has times where the offense is really stagnant. Melvin Council is phenomenal when he's able to push the ball in transition and get downhill. But he's not a good shooter, and he really has never been in his college career. I think if you go back to his time at Wagner, he was a 26% three-point shooter. Then he was a 30% three-point shooter last year at St. Bonaventure. He's a 34% three-point shooter now, and he shot right around 40% from the field every year. So it's really tough when your lead point guard is as inefficient as Melvin Council sometimes does. I think he had a game earlier this year where he was like 5 for 21 or something like that. They ended up winning the game, but it's really tough when you just have these spurts where none of your guards can shoot. Like, even Darren Peterson this game was inefficient. Trey White was inefficient. Floyd Badunga dominated inside, and he's always very efficient because his game is a lot of dunks and layups. But when your 3 main guards are that inefficient, it's really tough to get any consistent offense going.
Yeah, Jack Reacher comments, Kansas plays better without Peterson. What do you think about that?
I don't really agree with that. I think he's a very good player, and I think they showed like a stat during the Houston game. It might be like similar overall numbers. I think Darren Peterson has the potential to just explode sometimes scoring the ball. Like, he's such a smooth scorer. And then also, I think what the respect that he commands amongst other teams makes him a real threat, and it helps open up the offense for everybody else. So I can't agree with the take that Kansas is a better team without Darren Peterson.
Yeah, I think it's just a situation where, like, it's a little bit of an unfortunate roll of the dice in terms of, like, the matchups they've gotten. Like, sure, they beat Arizona without Peterson, and they lose to Cincinnati, but I just don't think you can look at it that linearly. Like, the sample size is a bit too small. It's easy to chalk it up to that, but, like, when you watch the games, it's not like he's inherently doing stuff that is, like, a negative to his team. In this one, though, to go back on Cincinnati real quick, Baba Miller was sick. I got a chance to see him live when I got to cover ASU versus Cincinnati, so that was sweet. And Thiam was pretty cool too. He's actually from the Senegal, which Massamba Diop is as well for ASU, who I got to cover for WCSN, and they lived like 30 minutes apart. which is super sick. So that was a cool matchup seeing them. But we'll talk more about Kansas in their Monday matchup tonight against Houston in just a little bit as we get through the rest of these games. We got 1, 2, 3 more, and then we'll talk about Kansas-Houston. But going back to the mid-majors a little bit, we talked about San Diego State earlier, and they had another one. This time losing to Colorado State on the road, 83-74, 2 straight losses for the Aztecs. It puts them in a tough spot for Mountain West title contention and really, truthfully, probably kicks them out of the bubble.
Yeah, if GCU made me really concerned about their NCAA tournament hopes, this game against Colorado State has basically put me in the mindset okay, they have to win the tournament. That is their ticket to the NCAA tournament. This was just an atrocious loss, to be honest, because, I mean, this is another game that we watched. Miles Byrd, I don't understand. It's like he doesn't learn. Every time he had the ball in his hands, he would just chuck up these putrid shots that had no chance of going in. And to go along with the fact that Colorado State was just shooting the lights out from 3, especially in the second half, this is just a really bad loss to have. Colorado State's not a bad team. They are 17-10. They're almost right behind SDSU in the Mountain West standings. They're a quality team. But, again, another loss that the Aztecs, with their talent and potential, cannot afford.
Let's look at their schedule real quick. Let's say hypothetically San Diego State won out. Utah State at home, New Mexico on the road, Boise State on the road, and UNLV at home. And then they make it all the way to the Mountain West Championship game and they lose to Utah State in a close one. Do you think they get in at large?
I in that scenario, I think you probably have like a 2-bid conference with them and Utah State, but it's a really specific situation.
You basically have to be perfect. If you're not perfect,
like,
if you don't win out the regular season at the least and make a really solid running in the Mountain West tournament, you just straight up have to win the Mountain West tournament because you've lost too many games. Like, it's okay, things are going to happen. You can't be a perfect team, especially as a mid-major. Like, there's tough places to play in the Mountain West. But you can't lose to GCU twice. You can't then also lose to Colorado State. You can't lose to Troy. You can't lose to Baylor. Like, it's that collection of losses that you can't afford that much if you're going to want to try to get into the tournament. Colorado State, I mean, they're solid in the Mountain West. Maybe they can go on a little run in the tournament, but I don't know. They're not special. How many times are we going to say it with Bird? He's a truly special athletic and defensive talent, but he doesn't know how to apply it to offense.
It's kind of mind-boggling. He's legitimately one of the best defensive guards I've probably ever seen in college basketball in terms of his ability to get steals and like the shot blocking ability at a 6'7" guard is unreal. But yeah, he doesn't. It's like he forgets. It's like that he is 6'7", ultra athletic on offense, and then just flips a switch and remembers it when he's on defense.
Yeah, well, I would say that it would be basically impossible for the Aztecs to win the Mountain West in the regular season. But Utah State loses to Nevada 77-80. So now they're only a game back, and they'll play Utah State next. A Utah State team that should get an at-large bid. They've been really solid this year. 23-4, only lost 3 Mountain West games. But yeah, a surprising loss to Nevada. And really like a bad game for MJ Collins. 3 for 11, 9 points. He's been one of the best players in the Mountain West, but he really did struggle in this one. And it was a great chance for Utah State to like almost kind of wrap up the regular season title.
Nevada is a team that if we are we're on selection show Sunday and Nevada is like one of those teams that steals a bid, if we find that out, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, they are a team, they're currently sitting at 4th in the Mountain West. They're 18-9, and I wouldn't put them up there with the creme de la creme of the conference. I still think that, Utah State in the grand scheme is better. I still think SDSU and probably New Mexico are better, but Nevada's a really solid team, and this game against Utah State proves it. I'm really curious to see, we've talked about it a lot, Casey. I am really, really looking forward to this Mountain West tournament because I feel like it's a bit more wide open than you would think.
It's the last one that we're gonna get with this set of Mountain West teams. It's the last year.
That as
Yeah,
well.
I think all of Utah State, New Mexico, San Diego State, GCU, and Nevada have a realistic shot at it. Anything outside of that, like UNLV, Colorado State, Boise State, they're talented on certain days, but it's just a stretch for them to string that together. And I think Nevada is better than GCU because I think they're better offensively. And I also think that, like, this is going to sound weird, but Nevada's home court advantage is worse, and it's going to be on a neutral site. Like GCU, you would think home court advantage being really good is like a positive, but I'm almost holding it against them because they're just not as good without it. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, they're not gonna be playing at home. They're gonna be playing on a neutral site, and they're probably gonna struggle because of it. But that moves us all the way up to Monday, get into these last two games, and then we'll get into Player of the Week. We're almost gonna have talked about men's college hoops for like 2 hours here, or an hour. I was gonna say like 2 segments worth of time, but UNC beats Louisville. I'm very impressed with this victory, considering the fact that Caleb Wilson did not play.
This was a must-have victory for UNC. They looked really bad against NC State last week. And I think that set off the alarm bells of, oh my God, without Caleb Wilson, this team might be really bad and slide like hard and seeding wise. Huge victory for the Tar Heels. Unbelievable performance by Seth Trimble. Borderline player of the week for me. He was amazing. 11 of 16 today for 30 points. Put the team on his back. Almost gave up a big lead to Louisville. And I don't know. Again, the Cardinals are just a team that I go back and forth on. When you've got a guy like Mikael Brown Jr., I feel like they should be better in theory, but they just really haven't wowed me at all this season. They're just a team that will maybe pick up a few wins, then they'll lose a game to either a bubble team or one of the top teams in the ACC, which makes me think that they're just a little bit more middling.
I was watching the end of this game, and Michael Brown is, he's a good player, but he's incredibly inefficient at times, and we saw that tonight. He was 9 for 25, but like late in this game, he was taking some really questionable shots, like contested threes. There was one moment where Louisville had the ball down 3 with like 20 seconds left, and he just kind of raced up the court and put up like this one-legged floater that had no chance of going in. Just really questionable shot selection, and then obviously Ryan Conwell was not necessarily very efficient either. I still like this Louisville team. I still like Michael Brown, but when you're as inefficient as he was in this game, it makes it really tough to be able to pull out a win.
Well, I think that allows us to get to our last game. Kansas-Houston just concluded. What a win for Kansas. Trey White looked incredible. The Jayhawks, there was a bunch of stats going into this one. They hadn't lost, back-to-back at Allen Fieldhouse in a really long time. Bill Self hadn't lost on Big Monday. Houston hadn't dropped 3 straight since, I believe, 2016. Something had to give, and unfortunately, once again, it was the Houston offense that was the one that gave.
If Arizona was a bad offensive performance, this was just horrible. Emmanuel Sharp went 1 of 10 and 1 of 6 from 3. Kingston Fleming's, this is becoming an alarming drop. He is dipped from shooting 52% down to 32% in these last few games. It's a situation where you cannot rely on a freshman to carry you the entire season and throughout the tournament. When he goes cold, this offense is completely screwed. And Chris Sinak, another game of just not really utilizing his skill set, putting up tough shots that won't go in, more disappointing production from a big like JoJo Tugler. And Milos Uzan has regressed so hard this season. I was so excited when he came back for the 2025-2026 season. He's basically been a parking cone on offense, and the bench just wasn't doing much to help either. All credit to Kansas. I know that the aura of Allen Fieldhouse on Monday nights is there, and this game again proves that they can beat any team any day. But this game is just, you can't have this if you're Houston. And if I haven't said it already, I would be shocked if this team even makes it to the Sweet 16.
Keenan, do you know how much Uzon has dropped in 3-point percentage? He shot 44% last year on 4 attempts. This year, 33% on 5.5. That kind of shocks me
He's
as a
he's
guy who's not like
he,
super duper tapped into the Houston, day by day stuff.
he's just looked like a shell of himself. I don't know what happened. Not only was he so good from the 3 point range, he was a big part in facilitating the offense. When he had the ball in his hands, he was great at making plays, finding guys open. And he's just not doing that this year. He holds the ball in his hands, waits till the shot clock goes down to 5 seconds, and then either makes a pass or just shoots the ball himself. I don't understand what's happening. And the one thing I wanted to add is I kind of looked at the quotes from Kelvin Sampson post game, and it kind of just seems like he's throwing his hands up. He All he said was, we're not going to change anything. I don't believe these 3 losses say anything about our team, and we're not going to do anything. We're basically going to rest until our next game. It just kind of seems like he doesn't know what to do.
I wonder if that's more so he's kind of just saying like trying to instill some confidence back in the squad and being like, listen, we played 3 really good teams in our last 3 games. I think we're going to be fine, but like the offensive concerns are very real. They shot 31% from the field tonight. Like it's going to be tough for Houston, regardless of the opponent, to win a lot of games in the tournament when the offense just stalls out like they have the last couple of games.
Real quick, looking at Kansas, how do we think they fare going to U of A next on this coming Saturday?
Um, it's interesting because U of A is very good at like rebounding and kind of getting the ball inside, but Kansas has proven to be a really good defensive team. They do like to kind of run like this small ball lineup, which we saw them run versus Houston, which was really effective, where it was like Melvin Council, Trey White, Badunga, El Marco Jackson, and Darren Peterson. Like it's an effective lineup for Kansas. I just don't know that you could necessarily run that against the size of Arizona, especially if Koa Pete will be playing, which
Is he
I
playing?
don't know if he is. I don't know. I'm
Bully
not sure
ball
what
man?
the I'm not
No
sure what
bag
the
man? We need to come up
what
with a nickname for we need to come up with a nickname for Koa Pete because I love what we have with Paulo PB No J. Like that is an elite nickname.
PBOJ.
But Koa Pete isn't the same vein. Like we've talked about this before, where he just doesn't have an offensive game. Everything with Koa Pete is bully ball. It's just putting his shoulder into a dude. He's never developed like a 3-point jumper. He's never developed any sort of like post moves or bag. I cannot wait for an NBA GM to waste a first round pick on Koa Pete. It's gonna be so much fun.
He just kind of shoulder checks people and catches lobs. It's a very limited skill set for him, but it works in the college game.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I think Kansas is a shot. Yeah, with Houston, like okay, I'm not too worried about Fleming's because I'm always more of like an NBA prospect type of guy when I'm looking at these guys. I'm not worried about Fleming's long term because he's before this stretch of 3 games, he has really shown up against top 25 opponents. He's been better. I think he averaged like 24 against top 25 opponents before this 3-game stretch. And it's really a lot to ask a freshman and ask a guy like him to like take on this huge offensive load. I think at the NBA level, like that's not going to happen right out the bat. So I'm not too worried. But for Houston, I'm really worried. Like the same thing applies. Like why are you putting so much pressure on Flemings to get you out of bad situations week after week and game after game? Like it's just if they're gonna live like this, they're gonna die like this.
Yeah, I think come Selection Sunday they will be a 4 or 5 seed. I just don't like how they're gonna fare finish out the season fine. I mean, obviously this was their toughest stretch and they failed miserably. But I mean, you take care of Colorado, Baylor, and Oklahoma State, go into the tournament. I just don't like how they fare in that environment. You've lost all these games against the top teams in the conference. I think you're a 4 or 5 seed.
Maddie Derby, my girlfriend, in the chat asks, "What's your opinion on Addison Arnold of U of A?" First of all, do you either of you know who that is? I'll flash it on screen. I know you guys can't probably see, but genuinely, do you guys know who that is?
No clue.
So I did not either.
I do.
So I decided to look him up, and I think I know why Maddie asked this, because he's from Utah. 2021, he was a freshman, but in 2026 he's actually a sophomore. And you might be wondering, how is that possible? Well, it's because he took a 2-year gap year to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints in Argentina. So he went on his Mormon mission, and then he took a redshirt year last year, and now he is a redshirt sophomore who has not played this year.
So he's like a 25-year-old sophomore, basically.
I don't know how old he would be. Well, let's see. He graduated high school in 2021, so he would have been 18. So yeah, now he's 23 and he's a sophomore. So, as a senior, he's gonna be 25, 26.
He doesn't
he's not
play
very
at
good.
all.
But that's kind of
it
hilarious.
certainly is an interesting story.
How do you know about this guy, Maddie? He's from Simi Valley, California. I don't know how she knows about, I know she's tapped in with some of the Mormons, but I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, is that the way we're gonna end our college basketball segment?
I think that's a great way to.
Is that a great way? Okay, there we go. Segue into
our player of the week.
Player of the week, coming in hot here at an hour. And dude, what is gonna be? Okay, real question. When we do the episode after the NCAA tournament, how long is our men's college basketball section gonna be?
It's gonna be an hour.
Are we gonna go 2 hours for
Why not?
Because
I
you just
plan for a long show.
Because you just talk about okay, Monday after the games, so it's gonna be first round. That's 32 games.
Some
round
games,
2,
obviously, you can skip over. But...
Round 2 is going to be 16 games. So that's 48 games. Let's say we want to cover half of them. Maybe even a third. That's still 20 games. Dude.
That's still a lot of games.
And that's crazy.
Depending on, upsets and stuff, we'll go lot more into depth.
And we don't got to cover every 16 versus 1 if it's straight up.
Yeah, no.
Jack
overkill.
Jack Reacher real quick asks, while we're still here on men's hoops, can you guys give your final 4 picks? So I'm a big proponent of the fact that the bracket matters a lot. The matchups and everything, they really, really truthfully matter. So it'll depend on what the bracket looks like. But if you ask me right now to pick the teams that I think are going to be in the final 4, I would go with Michigan, Duke, Gonzaga, and Purdue. Now I know Gonzaga and Purdue are a little outside,
teams.
but I really like Purdue. I like the guard play of Braden Smith, and with Gonzaga, I think they're usually very solid in the tournament. But it matters on how the bracket turns out. I'll tell you some teams I don't like. With Houston, it's a wait and see. I have to see how they respond. If they can't prove it against another big team or show some sort of adjustment, I'll be out on them. I hate U of A. I don't like UConn. I think Florida's a solid shout. I think Virginia's really good too. And I would have liked Texas Tech if Toppin didn't get hurt. And I like St. Louis, but I wouldn't pick them Final 4.
I'm going to go Duke, Arizona. I'm going to go Kansas. Man. And the other one, I think I might go a team like Florida. Just because they've got that experience from last season. They've
been really hot lately.
Really hot. I was going to say they've been getting hot at the right time. They are currently on a 7-game win streak. I would say the other team. I know you say you didn't like UConn. I think UConn's solid. I'm not in love with them this year. That Creighton loss was really ugly. But I think one thing that is really important is, again, when a team has a coach who knows what it takes to get it done in the tournament. Love him or hate him, Dan Hurley knows what it takes to
Yeah.
win the NCAA tournament, or at bare minimum reach the Final Four. And I wouldn't be surprised. They would be like my secondary pick.
I just don't like with UConn. Like, I'm just really not impressed with this Big East. I think the state of the Big East conference is really rough. So I just haven't been super impressed with how they've done. But like, I can see it. They're the sixth ranked team in the nation for a reason. And with Arizona, like, I'm never gonna pick them, man. Like I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you that, like, hey, the last couple games of the season really matter. And I'm also gonna tell you that conference tournaments really matter because it's a playoff format. And I'm also gonna tell you that the bracket really matters. But I hate U of A, and I am supposed to be unbiased and I am supposed to be critical, but I hate the Wildcats. I absolutely despise them, and I will not pick them. I'm disgusted. I genuinely think less of the city of Tucson, and I hope they lose at everything. My kids will hope they lose at everything, and my grandkids will hope they lose at everything. I hate U of A.
Uh, yeah. I don't like them very much either. So because of that, I'm not picking them either. Uh, I'm going. I'll go Duke. I know I mentioned the guard play of
Duke's great,
Michigan
by the way.
earlier, but I know I mentioned the guard play of Michigan earlier, but I think their size is going to be enough to get them to get them a lot of wins. But once they get there, we'll see that guard play
I think
come to fruition.
I think they're a safe team to not get upset just because they'll dominate like teams
Yeah,
outside. Like like a
they're going to
six
dominate the
seed
bad
isn't
teams.
just going to be able to hang with their size. There's
Yeah.
not a lot of teams that are this physical and big.
Yeah, so I'll go Duke, Michigan, Florida, and Kansas as my four
Yeah.
teams. I really like Florida. I think obviously they have the pedigree. They've consistently gotten better as the season's gone on, and I think you can certainly make the argument that they have the best defensive player in the country in Ruben Chinyelu. So
Yeah.
I think when you combine all that, I'm very high on this Florida team.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be exciting. I mean, we're only going to talk more about college basketball as the weeks go on. The conference tournament preview is going to be sick. The conference tournament reactions are going to be sick. The bracket reveal is going to be sick. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We might just have to like clear out a slate for just college hoops. But let's get into our player of the week. Keenan, why don't you start us off?
I'm gonna give my player of the week to someone who I think is in a Bugatti in the trailer park situation
Mm,
currently. I'm gonna go with Bruce Thornton of Ohio State for his performance against Wisconsin last Tuesday. 27 points, 9 of 18 from the field goals, 3 of 6 from three. Big reason why they had a blowout win over the then 24th ranked Badgers. And Bruce Thornton has been really climbing up the Ohio State record books. I know this is his fourth season as a Buckeye, and he's a seriously underrated player, not just for the Big Ten, but in the country. I just feel bad because Ohio State just really hasn't done enough to wow this season for him to get recognition. They're currently, I think, sitting right on the bubble, and I just hope that this team can put it together a little bit more so we can see him at least make it to the first four.
yeah, I mean the Big Ten is really really solid. Like it's hard to stand out there. Um, Ohio State, UCLA, like Iowa, Indiana, USC. I mean some of these teams are dropping out of the bubble, which rightfully so. But yeah, I don't know. It depends on how the season go. I think he's a solid pick. Um, but Aiden, who do you have as your player of the week? Your favorite athlete to watch this past week?
Yeah, so my play of the week is a little different. I think a lot of times we all always focus on, college basketball players, but I'm going a different direction. My play of the week is Connor Hellebuck, goaltender for Team USA, recorded 41 saves in the gold medal game against Canada. Um, he was the best player in that game, regardless of, the Jack Hughes game winner. He was by far the best player in that game. Um, the stick save that he had on Devin Tays was one of the best saves I've probably ever seen. Um, Absolute brick wall, and a reason why U.S. got their first gold medal since 1980.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Olympics, and specifically USA hockey later. But real quick, Aiden, you woke up at 6 a.m. for the gold medal game, right?
Yeah, I set the alarm. I was
It
up
was
at
worth
6
it,
a.m.
right?
Well worth it. Well
Yeah.
worth it.
Waking up early for a sports game. I haven't been very good at it with Tottenham this year. I've not watched a whole lot of soccer just because it's like, with I can do like the 8 or 7s, but like when I got to get
A
up and it's
5
still
a.m.
dark.
game or something.
Yeah, man, it's really tough. But I'm also going a similar route as you, Aiden. I'm not going hockey, but I am going Team USA. I am going Olympics. I thought I'd have to give them a shout out. I've done a little too much um, men's college basketball recently. And maybe you can help me out with the position here because when I write down the players of the week, I write down position, but I'm really not sure how this one will go. I'm going with figure skating Alyssa Liu. 2 gold medals this year in figure skating. The first women's gold medal USA singles in figure skating since 2002. First American to do it. Honestly, I don't really understand how the scoring works. Especially in a subjective sport like figure skating, like I always wonder, like, man, if it was different judges, like would they have just graded it differently? But I know that if you spin a lot and you have a lot of, good technique and it looks good, then it looks good and you win, and that's what she did. I don't know if you guys also saw the clips of her doing like she threw a first pitch a couple weeks back and she did like a 720 midair, like on grass. It looks so much more weird when it's like not on an ice rink. I guess my mind just isn't used to that. But yeah, she did one of her routines to Pink Panthers, so that instantly made me a fan, as I'm a big Pink Panthers fan. So she's my player of the week. I'm still not really sure though. What am I putting her position down as? Skater.
Skater.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
just
that's
I
fair.
put that.
But how much figure skating have you guys gotten on your feeds? Am I alone in this?
No,
I've gotten a lot of
I've
Alyssa
seen it.
Liu, but
Yeah.
that's
Um,
in terms of actual figure skating, not a ton. But I've gotten a lot of Alyssa Liu clips.
yeah. We'll talk more. We'll talk more Olympics. Actually, yeah. Or no, we'll go NBA first, then we'll talk Olympics. I want to ask you guys some questions about some of your favorite events. I want to talk about the luge. I want to talk about curling. I want to talk about those type of things. But let me get the timestamp here real quick on my phone. 1:13 NBA. So we are now officially post All-Star break. We are into the last fourth of the NBA season. It'll take a little bit of a backseat to college basketball, but then you get the last couple games, then the play-in, and just a lot of great basketball. We're going to go over a couple games and some stories over the past week, and then we're going to give our one team to buy and our one team to sell in this final fourth of the season in terms of the postseason, who we think has a nice shot or maybe an underrated shot at a championship. But first, Thursday, Cade goes for 42, 8, and 13 against the Knicks. Absolutely stunning performance, one of the better performances on the NBA season. And the Pistons just keep winning. I mean, they are one of 3 teams to win 40 games before 20. Cade Cunningham has been, I mean, if not
Future
for Wemby,
MVP?
yeah, future MVP, mainly because of injuries, but also because he's been balling. And I was going to say, if not for Wemby, he would be the best pick of the 2020s, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I've already kind of talked about my love for this Pistons team. Again, more credit to Bickerstaff, and the depth for this team has really shown up. Kate Cunningham is just unbelievable. He's just one of those players now. I think he's in that category of when you get a chance to watch him, you take it, just because he's that entertaining.
Yeah, it's Caden, that man. Like, I don't know. He's a really fun player. Like, I love how physical and big he is as a guard. I like how he gets to his spots. It's been fun to see him evolve from Oklahoma State to rookie year Cade to even just 2 years ago, like our freshman year of college Cade, where they were losing 20 some straight games in a row. and how he's not only gotten better, but the team has gotten better around him. And he's just it's just so refreshing to see like a number one guard who's also like a plus on defense. Like I have so much respect for him and Shea. I mean, obviously they're not going to be able to fully exert themselves on that end, but like they hold up and they do some defensive playmaking stuff that is just like it's so nice when your best player isn't being attacked defensively.
Yeah, I mean, when you're as good of an offensive player as Cade is and has been for most of his career, and you're not constantly getting like just picked on defensively, it is such a luxury for a team to have, and it's a big part of the reason why I think this Pistons team can be pretty good in the playoffs too, because in the playoffs, like NBA playoffs are so interesting because like all those small little like things that aren't really a big deal in the regular season, like a guy not being a great defender, they get magnified to the absolute max, and those guys just get picked on every single possession. But you can't do that with Cade. So if you're matching up with the Pistons in the playoffs, you're gonna have to find someone else to try to go at.
I still I still have some issues with them as a contender. I think the defense won't get magnified, but the offense, like creation outside of Cade, is going to be tough. Um, I don't see a whole lot of other guys that can put the ball on the deck, and I think if
Yeah.
you start blitzing Cade and making other guys beat you, it might be a little tough. I mean, just looking at like the guys who were playing in this one, Paul Reed, Tobias Harris, Amen Thompson, Karis LeVert, Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland, Danius Jenkins. Like I think Jenkins might have to like really step up
Is
in a role
probably the
as
next best like playmaker.
yeah, I don't know, just a guy who you trust to like put the ball on the floor, make decisions, and maybe carry some sort of playmaking load. Maybe Ron Holland, a little bit of Tobias Harris. I don't know. I just don't think there's a clear second playmaker. So I think that'll be a little bit rough. But even if they make like, I think it's still a success at this point, and they build and they see it next year. Even just the regular season stuff is such a success for a team that has been so bad for so long. As we move into Saturday, we got a game winner in double overtime. Jalen Green hits one on the Magic, a Magic team that I thought was going to be a lot better this year, and a Suns team that I thought was going to be a lot worse this year. And Green, he didn't have a great game. 6 for 26, very inefficient. But you hit the game winner. Would you rather? Okay, let's hypothetical real quick. You win the game either way. Would you rather go 6 for 26, 16 points, and hit the game winner, or go, I don't know, 6 for 12, but miss the last three shots, but you still win?
Give me the game winner every
Game
time.
winner?
I mean,
I mean, I'm gonna take the one that people are gonna remember.
Yeah.
yeah, give me the game winner every time.
So that's what he did. In his return to Phoenix, because he's been hurt, been back, been hurt, been back. He's looked solid. He looked solid against the Spurs. He had 26. And he was good against the Magic in other ways. Like he had 3 steals. He was doing some playmaking stuff, especially, considering the fact that Booker was out. He did all right. But the inefficiency is always going to be there, right, Keenan?
Yeah, I mean this. When you read that stat line, I was like, oh, that is the Jalen Green that I knew in Houston. As someone whose job involves a lot of producing content about the Suns, I I understand how important it's been for Jalen Green to return to the lineup for the Suns. Obviously, they've been wrecked by injuries these last few weeks, and him coming back to the lineup and performing, it's kind of conflicting because I don't know what people expect of Jalen Green anymore. I think people shouldn't expect him to be a guy who, like, when he comes back to the lineup, is like, that is the guy who's going to single-handedly win us games, that he's going to put us on our back and take us to the promised land. I feel like Jalen Green, people should know by now that he's more of a complement and a part of a system. He's a guy where he can absolutely be a key cog on one night, but the next night it'd be like, what in the world happen, dude. How do you go, how do you shoot 6 for 26? Like, how is that possible? Um,
Dude, this
Obviously, Phoenix just needs bodies right now, but they really need him to at least develop some kind of efficiency.
yeah, also working. I work at PHNX. Keenan works at Arizona Sports. So yeah, like oh my gosh, the people at PHNX just they drool over Jalen Green. They were so excited to have him back. And it is weird. Like it's weird working from a Phoenix based, Arizona sports based perspective. Like it gives me a little bit of a different perspective. But this Suns offense is like just really jank, man. Like Booker has been a little inefficient compared to what he normally is. And then you have like the Dylan Brooks mid ranges that are carrying you, and then Jalen Green who's spotty. And you love what you get out of like Gillespie and Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen and some of these guys. But I don't know. It might not be worth it. It might be. We might get into it more when we get to buying and selling. I'll leave it at that. But
Yeah.
Sunday, moving along in the week, LaMelo goes for 37, 8 and 7 on 10 made threes. This is just like a complete LaMelo game. I mean, it's what you see from him. I mean, 10 of 15 from three. The shot diet is really weird. He doesn't really get to the rim, but he has such a huge offensive impact. I mean, plus 20, Con plus 33. Both these guys, elevate the offense so much. And then when he is hitting that 3-point shot, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, uh, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This trio of Brandon Miller, and LaMelo is going to be what ultimately determines if the Hornets make the play in and potentially make some noise, or if they just spend another season, outright eliminated from playoff contention. Again, they are in that same category that they've been in for a while. Of man, the Hornets are on. If you see them on League Pass, you're not passing up on the opportunity to click that watch button. You want to see what happens with Charlotte, with LaMelo, with Con. They are a must-watch team.
Yeah. And then second to last thing here, I want to talk about the past week that the Clippers had. They've had an incredibly close set of games. First of all, they go out to Houston and they beat the Rockets 105-102. Kawhi hits a game-winning fadeaway and one. And I mean, he was just dicing them 27, 12, 4 and 4. Then they go out and they beat the Nuggets. Jamal Murray has a chance to tie the game. 3 free throws, goes 2 for 3, misses the last one. Benedict Mathurin explodes for 38. But then they lose by 3 to the Lakers, and then they lose to the Magic. Again, Kawhi with 37. Benedict Mathurin has a chance to win the game. I thought they were going to call a timeout. They decided not to use it. They had Mathurin wide open, and he missed. I feel a little bit bad for Kawhi because he is genuinely hooping at an insane peak. It's absolutely unreal how good of a basketball player he is right now. Like, I watch him, and everything else aside, I'm like, why is this guy not playing at a top 5 level right now? It's nuts how efficient he is. He's still playing really good defense and all that. And so then I look at his supporting cast of a Hobble, Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, who's up and down, and then a bunch of other guys. And I feel bad, but it's also still his fault. You can't give it all the way. You can't say it's all his fault because of the injury stuff, but it's such a hard thing to define. Like, this Clippers team had so many chances, but he just kept on getting hurt, and eventually they had to blow it up. So I feel bad for him that he doesn't have an awesome supporting cast, but he's had an awesome supporting cast for so many years and has either been hurt, which how much can you really blame him, or he just didn't get it done. Like when there was the 3-1 comeback from the Nuggets. It just sucks for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I completely understand how you feel, Casey. I mean, I do feel bad in the sense that it's insane how Kawhi is still producing at this unbelievable level at this point in his career at his age. But at the same time, you can't help but feel like, well, maybe if you were playing like this way earlier in this era that we just dismantled, maybe we could have done something great. And I feel like the results from this past week, it's hard for me to tell how much of it is just the fact that, the Clippers were kind of a weirdly built roster coming into the season, or the fact that they dismantled a bit at the deadline. I think my main question is, when am I going to see Darius Garland in a Clippers uniform?
I don't really know, man. I mean, he's always had injury stuff. I'm not sure. It could legitimately be never this season. But the thing with Kawhi is he has played at this level before. Like in the playoffs where the Clippers went to the Western Conference Finals, he was so good, and then he got hurt. And it's like I can't hold getting injured against him. It's not his fault. Like it's not like he wants to get hurt, but it just sucks. Um, and am I crazy for saying he's playing at like a top five level? Like, dude, he's averaging 28. He's one of the most
He's
efficient
been
scorers. Like, he's
He's been
playing good defense.
unbelievable.
He's averaging a
he's been
career
so
high.
good.
Is this like, dude? I feel
I
like I'm going crazy because this is one of the best Kawhis I've ever seen.
I mean, he's every single night it feels like he's going for 30 on like incredible efficiency. He's still a really good defender. Obviously, like not the same level of defender as he was in San Antonio or Toronto, but like he's such a good scorer. Like it just sucks that
Dude,
this
he's
Clipper it sucks that this Clippers team is basically just like a wash and they sold at the deadline and it's kind of just they're gonna probably sell a little more to try to retain some picks and some sort of young assets.
he's top 10 in scoring, top 10 in steals, and he's almost at 50, 40, 90.
Like
49.4% from the field, 38% from three, 90.5% from the free throw line on like high volume. Like you just don't see that. You've only seen 50, 40, 90 nine times in NBA history. It's
like if MVP was truly just like if the definition got changed to the most outstanding player, I you could seriously make an argument that it was Kawhi Leonard, but obviously it team success matters as well.
I mean, and he has been valuable. Like, can you imagine what this Clippers team would look like
Oh
without
my,
him?
they'd be they'd
Yeah.
be probably the worst team in the NBA
I'll be interested what
or one
happens
of
after
them.
this year with him. Like, what could he? Because he's got. It's weird because like on the one hand, like it almost seems obvious that he's gonna go out, like he's gonna get traded probably. But then there's the aspiration stuff where like I'm sure teams would be scared of that. And B, I don't think I've ever seen a player like want to get to LA as bad as Kawhi. Like he had everything in Toronto built around him in a perfect way and said, "Nah, I want to go to the Clippers." Like he brought in all these guys. Like he genuinely loves LA. Like he wants to be there. It's just the team kind of sucks right now. So the Clippers offseason is going to be one of the more interesting ones, especially with the Pacers pick. But last little bit of NBA news: Kings stop their 16-game losing streak, beating the Grizzlies today. This just happened in the rundown. When I made it yesterday, I had it as Kings on a 16-game losing streak. But yeah, they beat the Grizzlies off of a
Precious
great
Achua.
Precious Achua and Russell Westbrook.
Like
That
You know
sentence
what?
alone.
You guys take this one. I need to think about what I just said.
I feel like I kind of wanted to use this, like the Kings, as an example of a team that is losing games, and I think it is in their best interest to lose games. Um,
Even,
Obviously, Aiden, we've talked about like your team wanting to lose as many games as possible. The
mhm.
problem I have with the Kings, though, is I just wonder what their long-term vision is. What happens with Levine, DeRozan, Sabonis? Obviously Westbrook is not a long-term solution. What about Keegan Murray? I just don't know what to expect in the future with the Kings.
Yeah, I mean they gave Keegan Murray so much money this offseason and he's been okay, but like I I don't think anyone is really looking at him as like the guy that they're gonna try to build their
28
future
million?
around.
$28 million for 14
Yeah,
points a game?
they gave him a lot of money and he's under contract now for the next like 4 years or so. So like in the Kings' eyes, he's a big part of their future and he's a big part of what they're gonna try to build around. But I just don't really see it. Zach Levine's good, but he's constantly injured and is getting older and regressing, as is DeMar DeRozan. Sabonis, Sabonis is such a weird player because he's a walking double double, but he is arguably the worst defensive center in the NBA. So uh, like it, you don't have a future there because when you're finally going to be good or try to contend, he can't be your starting center on a contending team. So unfortunately, I think this Kings team is gonna still be pretty bad for a while, but maybe they luck into the number one pick and get like AJ DeBanza and he's just awesome, or Darren Peterson doesn't have load management stuff in the NBA and is the player that a lot of people think that he can be.
Yeah. Well, why don't we get into our buying and selling post trade dead or post not just post trade deadline but post All Star break? What do we want to start off with? I think we should do selling first. We'll start off negative and positive. Who wants to go first with who they're selling? Keenan, I think we might have the same team.
Oh boy, I prepared a lot for this. I'm gonna go the easy route and just pick the team that I unfortunately root for and have watched too much of this season. I'm gonna go with the Houston Rockets. If I'm a regular fan, I'm selling their stock right now. There's just nothing when you watch them play like adequate, like equal to higher competition that makes you go, that's a team that I want to believe in to win a championship this season. And I understand a lot of it was out of their control. I mean, Ime Udoka he couldn't do anything about the fact that Fred VanVleet got hurt, that Steven Adams is out for the rest of the season. But this offense is so irritating to watch, and the deployments in the late moments of tight games are just completely baffling. Why am I watching Jayshawn Tate on the court at the same time as Amen Thompson? That makes zero sense. Why am I not seeing this team learn the lesson that they should have learned from last season? Develop some sort of consistency. Alperen Sengun is still as maddeningly inconsistent as last season. Amen Thompson is still taking really bad shots. Jabari Smith still has a negative IQ when on the court. I mean, people have been mocking the Kevin Durant trade. They can do that all they want. He's the main reason why this team is even sniffing above the play-in line right now. He's been the only consistent player on the offense. So this team is just so aggravating to watch. And honestly, I put most of that blame on Ime Udoka. His coaching is really wearing off on me.
Yeah, they're the team I picked too. And I'm fading Houston. It's really unfortunate because a lot of that has to do with Fred VanVleet getting hurt. He was going to be the guy that was going to be able to play make a lot for them. Like, his injury cannot be overstated. The fact that he was going to be an awesome playmaker and also solid defensively is really tough. But I look at this team and they just don't have the playmaking chops of a team that is going to make a strong playoff push. And Amen Thompson, like, I love him. He's awesome. He cannot be your one. He cannot be a point guard. Like, think of the NBA playoffs from last year. Think about how hard teams were pressuring Shea, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, and how they pushed through. That's what it takes to be a playoff point guard. And Thompson is so far off that it's laughable. And then on top of all that, you have really good play from Kevin Durant, like you said, Keenan. But then all this stuff comes out about the burner, and I just feel like that's got to be so degrading on a team's chemistry to know that your star player is like talking behind your back. I was honestly thinking about this earlier. I think I would genuinely rather have my team have a hurricane go through our city and destroy the town than the Kevin Durant stuff. Like, at least that you could rally around, oh, let's do it for the city. How are we supposed to rally around Kevin Durant? Like, if he's the hurricane, the hurricane's still in the building. The storm is raining every day because you just have this bad energy in there. And it just makes me really scared for this Rockets team and how ugly it could look in the playoffs.
I think the other thing that I would criticize is this team did absolutely nothing at the deadline. They just stood pat and hoped that either the issues would fix themselves and that the solution was in-house. It doesn't look like that's the case. A guy that they faced on Saturday, primetime against the Knicks, Jose Alvarado just absolutely cooked them. That's a guy that I wanted the Rockets to target at the deadline. Again, they did not make a single move, and this is the team that they're stuck with, and that's on them.
Aidan, who are you selling?
Yeah, I really had to think pretty hard about this one, but I think the team that I ultimately landed on is the Philadelphia 76ers. They're a good squad, but they're 5-5 in their last 10, and obviously Tyrese Maxey is unbelievable. He's an awesome player. Um, Joel Embiid, when he does play, is good, but that's part of the reason why I'm selling them. I don't know that you can rely on Joel Embiid to be healthy long term, and especially in a playoff run. And then outside of that, the next best guy is like a rookie VJ Edgecombe, who's been great as a rookie, but is a rookie. So I think once you get later in the season and into the playoffs, they're going to really struggle as it's going to be just asking so much out of Tyrese Maxey to just carry the load. And like, how many games are you really going to be able to get out of Joel Embiid? And in those games, is he going to be playing through injury? Like, it's just I'm really concerned with Philadelphia long term. And I just don't think that Tyrese Maxey can carry this load going forward.
Yeah. Well, if I can get us onto a positive note now, and I think that's a good take as well with the Sixers, it just feels like there's conflicting timelines. Like it's a little tough to figure out how that's all gonna mesh together with the team right now. But if I can start us off on a positive note, a team that I am really buying in on is the Knicks. I really like the Knicks. Right now, they are my pick to come out of the East. You look at the East, the Knicks are the 3 seed. They have to compete with the Pistons, which I think are really good, but I still think they're a year away. They just don't have enough playmaking outside of Cade. You look at the Celtics, where I still don't think they're going to have a healthy Tatum, so I wonder how that's going to work out in the playoffs. And then you have the Cavs, who obviously are in a really great phase right now with Harden, but I've seen this story way too many times. Harden consistently drops down in the playoffs over the course of a series. He just has too many low moments. I got to stay away from that. And then the rest of the teams, like the Raptors, Sixers, Magic, I'm not obviously buying in on at that point. So I really like the Knicks. We know that they have a really good offense. With Cat and Brunson, you're going to get that third best offensive rating in the NBA. We saw them make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, but the big thing is the defense. When you have Brunson and Cat on the floor at the same time, it's going to be really hard to defensively game plan around that. But their defense has actually been pretty solid this year, especially as of late. They've had the 10th best defensive rating in the NBA. Solid. But I believe it was this past month of February, maybe January, they had a top 3 defensive rating in the NBA, and they've really tuned it up. With new coach Mike Brown has really done a solid job of like maximizing how they've been able to use the pieces they have. They've really done a like awesome job of maximizing OG Anunoby. And I don't know, I just think this Knicks team like seems to be the most complete if that defense can still hold up that's left in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah. If Keenan doesn't have anything, I'll go next, and um, I'll say the squad that I'm buying stock in on is also in the Eastern Conference, but instead the Boston Celtics. Um, I think the Celtics team has far outperformed expectations with having no Jason Tatum this year. They traded for Nikola Vucevic, who hasn't been great, but I think can be a very nice piece for them. Um, they have pretty good depth with Derek White and Peyton Pritchard, and Sam Hauser every once in a while just spazzes and hits a bunch of threes. And it seems like they will get Jason Tatum back at some point this year, probably going into the playoffs. So, and I think we're all pretty aware that he's not going to be 100%, but even if he's 70%, like that's still a really good player, and it's going to help out so much defensively for this team, which is already a very good defensive team. Like their defensive rating since January 30th has been 104. Like they are one of the better defensive teams in the NBA. So I really like Boston. I think they have that playoff experience, obviously winning a title just a couple of years ago. So or last year. So whatever, last year, 2 years ago. So I think when you have that experience, it really does matter a lot. So I kind of like them to potentially go back to the finals this year, which feels crazy, but
How,
I mean, it's a real possibility.
how do you think they balance the Vooch Kata minutes? Because I like what I've seen from Kata this year. He's been a
Yeah.
lot better. I mean, early on as a rookie, like he looked like a terrible defender. Now he stepped up, and Vooch is cool and whatnot, but we know that he's not a great rim protector. We know that he's probably going to get exposed in the playoffs.
Um, I think you can potentially run a double big lineup with Vooch at the four and Nemez Queta
So
playing the true
then,
five.
what are you going? Kata, Vooch, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, Derek White.
Yeah, I think that
Okay,
would probably be the lineup.
I think that's a little tough in terms of
Or
I don't know.
or if you don't want to do that and
I
then
feel like
you,
you
you
gotta
just
have
have
Pritchard,
you just have
even though he's small and he's gonna get
yeah,
picked on
but
a
like
bit.
even if you don't want to start Booch, you can still have him off the bench, and off the bench that's a pretty good option to kind of lead the bench unit. And we know he's not a good defender, but at times he's been a good rebounder, which matters a lot in the playoffs, and he can score the ball at times. So it's it's up to it's up to Joe Mazzulla how he wants to run that is once they get into the playoffs. But I could potentially see them going double big, depending on certainly depending on the matchup as well. I think a lot of teams really like going double big once you get into the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Well, Keenan, who's your team that you're buying? I got the Knicks. Aiden's got the Celtics. Is this another Eastern team?
I'm actually gonna copy off of Aiden's homework. I also picked the Celtics. I thought about going with the Cavaliers for a little bit, but you're not gonna fool me into taking a team employing James Harden and expecting to make a serious playoff push and convince me that's a team that's gonna hoist a trophy anytime soon. I mainly just wanted to pick the Celtics because I think Joe Mazzulla should get all the love in the world. He has done a phenomenal job in the face of a really tough situation, considering this team obviously was dealt massive injuries to the likes of Tatum, and they kind of gutted the depth that they had in their previous era. I don't know if he'll win it, but I think Missoula should absolutely be top three in Coach of the Year voting. He's done a great job, and this season, if it wasn't already proven, he's one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I want the Cavs to do really well. But I saw how Harden played in the playoffs last year and in several years, and it's not like he has good games too. It's just I can't get the what happened in Game 7 against the Nuggets out of my head, where he just becomes passive. The same things that were working in the regular season aren't working as much anymore, and he just gets scared, and you can't have that, especially when you've got to play with Mobley and Jared Allen, who are two guys who have like zero playmaking. Like you have to carry the bulk of the load. You can't leave Donovan Mitchell out there to dry. I'd love to see them push through, but I think the Celtics, they just have a lot more guys who fit well together. Like they're bought into the system, and I do think there's like certainly some talent concerns there, like from the role players that might get exposed in the playoffs, like with Pritchard and Hauser and Garza and Walsh. Like, what is the rotation really going to look like? I'm not sure how many of these guys are getting in. I almost think like Jalen Brown, Tatum if he's actually healthy, Pritchard, White, Vooch, Kata, and Hauser, like just run the 7-man rotation. I think that's it. Like, are we giving? No, we're not giving Baylor, Shileman, or even Garza minutes in the playoffs.
No.
But
Uh, Garza can maybe have stints if
dude,
you just need another big, but
no,
he's
you
really
don't. You
bad.
already have Kata and Vooch. You don't need Garza going out there. Um, but yeah, I guess we'll see how it all pans out. Each team's got like roughly 20 or so games left. Let's see, I think that's right. Because what the Pistons are at 42-14, so that's 66. No, that's
Yeah,
56
every
games.
team's
That's 56 games. So they got about like 25-ish games. So about
yeah,
a fourth or so of the season left. But is that everything we got for the NBA?
yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the Olympics. And you talked about it a little bit earlier. Walk me down through USA Hockey.
Yeah, I mean, they like U.S. got out to a really early advantage. They scored a goal on their very first shot of the game with like 14 minutes or so in the first, and then it was kind of stagnant. And Canada dominated the game. They were at one point were like double the shots on net of the U.S. and it felt like eventually they would be able to break through, but Connor Hellebuck was doing an unbelievable job. And eventually they did score the equalizer in the third period, which sent it to overtime. But like it felt like a game that like the U.S. was lucky to get to overtime. Like felt like Canada easily could have won it 3 or 4-1 in regulation. They had so many opportunities. Like the stick save right in front of the net. Nathan McKinnon missed a, as much of a layup as you can probably get in hockey. He was point blank range right in front of the net, and he just hit it off the side of the net, which is crazy for one of the best players in the world to just mess up a shot like that. But really, just such a good game, and truly one of the greatest goalie performances I've ever seen from the U.S.
That Matthew Boldy goal for the U.S., the one
Oh, it
that
was
started off the
sick.
game, is one of the greatest goals I think I've ever seen. That was just pure willpower. He had two defenders trying to like drag him down and stop up his momentum. He just piled right through them into the net. Connor Hellebuck should have a statue built of him. I mean, he was the backbone of this gold medal for the U.S. I did not realize that the last time that they won the gold in hockey was the Miracle on Ice.
Hmm.
That was a crazy fact to learn. And I do agree. Like I know a lot of people were making fun of Canada fans for saying that they dominated the game and still lost. It was kind of the truth. I mean, the U.S. was they definitely weren't the more impressive team during the game. They were. I mean, they were kind of out muscling the U.S. at every turn, but that Nathan McKinnon missed shot on that wide open net, that's going to haunt him for the rest of his career. He's already a Stanley Cup champion and a Hart Trophy winner. I bet that one is going to keep him up at night.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that I saw that replay, and I kind of just sat there dumbfounded. I like it's the equivalent of like I don't even know like Luka Doncic bl missing a wide open breakaway layup in the playoffs or in the finals or something like that. Like it's truly unbelievable that he missed that shot.
Yeah, it's like if Mahomes had a wide open touchdown to win the Super Bowl and he just airballed it. It's it's that kind of moment that could have changed the game, and I don't know. It's just such a weird feeling seeing the U.S. on top. I mean, I think it's even sweeter now that this comes off the heels of the Four Nations face-off last year and
Hmm.
seeing all the gloating from Canada from that. I mean, both the Four Nations face-off and the gold medal game in these Olympics were just absolutely incredible spectacles of hockey, and I really hope that this showed people how amazing the sport is.
Um, yeah, I was gonna ask you guys, looking at the Olympics more broadly, if you could be a gold medalist in any Olympic sport in the Winter Olympics and not hockey, what would you pick?
I
Mm.
go. I don't know. I think figure skating is pretty cool. Like my parents love watching figure skating during the Olympics. They were every time we talk, they would give me updates on it. Um, I think figure skating is underrated because it just takes so much coordination. I remember sitting at my desk at my office and watching the Olympic figure skating on the TV, and it's just incredible the routines and the teamwork that they have. So that would definitely be in consideration for me. I'd say the other one would be some of the skiing events that they do. Some of like the especially like the cross country skiing.
Dude,
That
like
is just
the
like
way they churn with the skis on is so
it's
nuts.
I cannot imagine the amount of energy and stamina it takes to compete in an event like that. Those would be my two picks.
Yeah, what do you think, Aiden?
Um, I would have to do like probably half pipe snowboarding or something like that.
Dude.
I think that would just be it would just be so cool being able to do like insane tricks and flips on snowboard. It looks really cool. Like I yeah, I don't know. Like just something and just like it's one of those like I feel like a lot of the Olympic sports like bobsled or luge like how often are you really doing that in like a civilian aspect? But if you're an elite level snowboarder, you can go out as much as you want and just do crazy tricks, and that's just a really cool skill to have, I guess. So I would do half pipe snowboarding.
I would say first of all the worst one. Do you guys know what skeleton is? It's
Yeah.
it's it's luge,
No.
but luge is you're lying on your back, right? And you're going down the raceway. Skeleton is your head first. So so you're 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 speeding down a runway head first, just with nothing but a sleigh or bobsled or whatever in between you and the ice. I would not pick that one. That sounds awful. Um, I think snowboarding is a great shout. That's just super sick. Like that's awesome. Um, but if not for snowboarding, I might genuinely go curling. Like I feel like that would just be so chill. Like you don't have to exert that much athletically. You kind of just,
Hmm.
I'm sure, dude, I'm sure you're so boys with your team members. You're probably like, the most out of shape in the Olympic Village, and you just show up and win gold in some curling, man. Like I feel like that's kind of sweet. Um, so is that everything we have on Olympics?
Uh, I think so. I don't really have anything else to really add.
All right, well let's finish it off with some MMA. Aiden, you're gonna walk us through this past weekend in MMA. Starting off with Sean Strickland pulling off the upset in the third round, TKO over Anthony Hernandez. That's an 8 fight win streak ended.
Yeah. Strickland went into this fight as the pretty heavy underdog. I think he
Do you
was
know? Do
like
you remember?
plus.
Do you remember what the
Sorry.
line was?
I think he was like plus 250, maybe something like that.
Let me see if I can
Um,
find it. But keep going.
but really, yeah, like heavy underdog.
It
I
was
think a
plus
lot of
two
people
thirty.
okay. I think a lot of people expected Anthony Hernandez to kind of dominate just with his wrestling and grappling and eventually probably get a submission, but he tried taking him down at some points, but Strickland proved to have really good takedown defense and be a hard guy to take down. And the narrative on Strickland a lot had been that he kind of just has like one skill, which is or one or two skills, which is a jab and a teep kick. But I mean, to like he used it extremely well in this fight. He constantly kept Anthony Hernandez on his back foot. Like Hernandez wants to constantly advance and pressure, and any time that he did, he would just get popped with that jab. And then eventually, like Strickland popped him with the jab, and then set up the big power right hand shots that dropped Anthony Hernandez and got him the finish. So um, truly one of the more impressive performances of Strickland's career, and potentially sets up an opportunity for him to fight for the title again.
Yeah, I mean the stats at least tell me that um, Hernandez was 0 for 1 on takedowns.
Yeah,
Um, and I mean Strickland just like dominated in strikes. 93 significant head strikes.
yeah.
That's
I mean, he was
that's a lot
just
of
popping
punches
him
to the
with the
dome.
jabs.
That's a lot of punches to take to the dome. But yeah, I don't know if you caught it, but I said he was plus 230. So
Yes.
it's a pretty that is a pretty significant upset, especially considering the win streak there. Outside of that, Jacob Smith first round TKO, 12-0 with 10 of 12 wins coming by finish, including 8 first round knockouts. You gotta just love a guy who's like,
I mean,
Well, I wonder what the odds were when you get these type of prospects. The odds are on like it going more than one round.
Uh, it was it might have been like usually they set it like an over under rounds. It was probably like 1.5. I would there might have been a pretty good chance that it was like minus odds for the under for this fight. And the guy he's fighting was is no slouch. Like Josiah Harrell is really good. He was also 11-0, but was he took this fight on short notice, and it showed. Like Smith Smith just kind of dominated. He outstruck him and eventually got a takedown and just brutalized him with ground and pound. If you see the highlight of it, it was a pretty late stoppage by the ref, and then the ref it didn't make sense to me because it was a late stoppage by the ref, and then the ref got mad at him for like hitting him after he was knocked out. It's on you to stop the fight. Like you
Yeah,
gotta pull him off. Like you can't get mad at him uh, for hitting
I don't
him
know.
after. Like
That's so crazy to me. Like like I
that's his
get it.
job.
I don't know. I get it in MMA. Like you're trying to end the fight. Like it's a really big deal. But like it's crazy when dudes will be like, and I'm not saying it happened in this fight, but like knocked out. Like they're
Yeah,
done, and someone will come over and just like lay that extra like um hammer on top. It's
yeah.
nuts.
I mean, it was a pretty late fight or a pretty late stoppage. But Jacoby Smith is continues to just surge through the welterweight division. He's certainly one of the more exciting prospects in that division, and um, I wouldn't be shocked if he. I think he probably needs one or two more fights before he gets a shot in the rankings, but I could definitely see the UFC just wanting to build off this momentum and fast track him and give him give him a ranked opponent next.
Yeah. All right. Well, tell me about this medic fight because it was a first
Yeah.
round knockout. Um, Neil gets knocked out in the first round, but it seems like when you were telling me you were more interested in the post game interview.
Yeah, it was a really good post fight interview. He he was just talking like he was like, this is what do. I'm gonna I'm gonna bulldoze through the division. All I just get knockout after knockout after knockout. And he's right. I think he's 5-3 in the UFC or something like that, and he has but on his career he has a 100% KO rate. So all 13 of his wins have been knockouts. So and um, all three of his losses have been knockouts. So he either knocks the guy out or gets knocked out. So very exciting fighter. Jeff Neal certainly needs to take time off. Up until his second to last fight, he had never been knocked out in his career. He's now been knocked out in the first round in back-to-back fights. So definitely a tough situation for him, but um, easily the best win of Uros Medic's career. He called out Leon Edwards for a main event spot in the UFC Serbia card, which is in a couple months, and I
Scenic
don't know that
destination.
I don't know that there's really any other big time Serbian fighter. So I have a feeling his wishes are going to get granted, and it's a big step up in competition for him. But um, judging off this fight, it seems like he might be ready for it, and that'd be a very fun fight.
All right. Well, tell me about the last fight we have here on the rundown. First round knockout for Costa gets him in the top 15 of the featherweight division.
Um, yeah, another fight where Dan Ige had never been knocked out in his UFC career, and Melky Costa is a guy who's just been really surging through the rankings. Another super exciting prospect. Finished it in the last 5 seconds of the first round with a spinning back kick to the head, and then just a couple ground shots for good measure. But um, a guy that's super exciting, and he's gonna take Dan Ige's spot in the rankings. Like, and he'll probably get a shot maybe after that to move up into the top 10. We'll see what the UFC wants to do with some of the matchmaking. I think he called out Diego Lopez after the fight, a fellow Brazilian. I don't think he's ready for that level of jump in competition, but he's certainly very, very good and very entertaining. So um, I'll definitely be very intrigued to see what the UFC wants to do with him next. But um, an amazing win for him. I didn't think he could top his last knockout, which was also a head kick, but this one certainly did.
Well, if that's all we got for MMA and that's all we got for the show, we just surpassed 2 hours, easily the longest show we've had. I want to finish off on your guys' thoughts on intramural basketball, the coming tournament for the Thuggery, players Aidan Dobell and Casey Smith, as well as Coach Keenan Vaughn. It's not just a big week because it's going to be playoffs, but the entire playoffs except the championship game will be played, and the championship game is going to be in Desert Financial Arena. So if the Thuggery are able to win 3 games, we and our intramural team will advance and play in ASU's basketball stadium. How sweet would that be?
It would be sweet. All I'll say about that, we gotta take it one game at a time. We still have never won a playoff game
Our
as
intramural
an
team is
intramural
0-5
squad,
in the playoffs.
so we gotta just get over that hump, and just take it one game at a time. Treat every game like it's the finals, like it's the championship, and if we do that, we will have an unbelievable opportunity to play at DFA. And quite frankly, I know we talked about this a little bit earlier. If we get the opportunity to play at DFA, it'd be awesome to win it, but just playing there in general would be so cool. So some added motivation, added importance to these coming games for us.
It'd be one of the coolest things I'd ever do. Oh my God, it'd be so sweet. Walking in, feeling like I'm Mo Odom. I'd hire videographers. Like, oh, Coach Keenan Vaughn, we need you to wear a suit if we go to DFA.
Oh
my God.
There will be. You do not have to worry about me doing that because I will show up in the full-blown tuxedo for.
I need you yelling like
business suit for if we go to the championship game at DFA. I will be dressed in my Sunday's finest.
I need you looking like Bobby Hurley, going like yelling.
So you need me. I need
the tie coming undone. I need you like sweating, like going on the court, getting in your defensive stance, telling us to defend.
Man,
if I'm gonna dress like Bobby Hurley and emulate Bobby Hurley, I'm gonna be getting a lot of technicals.
That'd be just so fun, man. Like, I also just want to win one playoff game, man. Like, it's so sad.
Like I just need to. We need to do that. We
are
need
the epitome of mediocrity.
We are the James Hardens of intramural hoops. Great regular season players and team, but always just fall short in the playoffs.
Yeah, we have a strategy. It's 2 days away. Next time we're on the show, we'll either be saying, "Hey, Thuggery season's over for another month," or "Hey, we're gonna be playing at DFA." How sweet would that be? But that about wraps it up. If you're still here, thank you for hanging in for a 2-hour show. What a ride. Fellas, we got 44 views on this one.
Ooh.
So that's the most. I mean, that's not concurrent, but that's over the course. I think we had like 7 or 8 at one point. And, that's pretty good. So cool stuff there. Still confused on how Maddie knew that random Mormon guy on U of A.
That's
so. I want to hear the answer to that.
I will text like right after I get the show. I got to fill out our little. We got a little couples app.
Hell of a pull there. I mean.
Yeah, I thought I was just dumb. Like I was like, I don't know who that is. Maybe you. And then I looked it up. But thank you guys so much for tuning in and have.